Welcome in. Good morning. Thursday as we count down the days toward the 49ers playoff opener against the Seahawks. Yesterday, I promised that I'd follow up on this, and today I have a nice little follow-up for you. Adam Peters, as we know, the 49ers assistant general manager, pictured right here, has declined two GM interview requests from the Tennessee Titans and the Arizona Cardinals. And there was a lot of speculation immediately that the reason that Peters declined these requests, which would be potential opportunities for promotions, at least in title, was because John Lynch might have secretly told him that he's leaving the 49ers at some point soon. But John Lynch is not planning to leave the 49ers anytime soon. Tim Kawakami had an interview with Lynch yesterday, right after that, and Peters news broke. And this went along with exactly what I tweeted. On Twitter, I said, hey, I put out a video. I didn't even mention John Lynch because it didn't cross my mind. I think people are just conspiracy theorists and they always want to connect some crazy dots. But as soon as Adam Peters declined those interviews, the John Lynch rumors went wild. I was getting text messages. I was looking at tweets, and everybody was like, oh, well, Adam Peters must be waiting in the wings for a GM job here. When, I know John Lynch. I've listened to so many John Lynch interviews on this topic. I know the facts of the matter, and that's that Amazon was ready to offer him $15 million per year last year, and he declined it because he's a competitive guy. He said this before. He wants to see a scoreboard. He wants a scoreboard to be there to evaluate if he's doing a good job or not. And obviously he's doing a really good job right now as the GM of the 49ers as they won 10 straight games entering the playoffs. But until John Lynch wins a title, and I think that winning one title might actually make him crave more titles, but until then, his competitive desire won't be satiated. And that's really, really important to remember because there's a lot of people that are out there talking about, oh, John Lynch has said that he's not a lifer. Yes, but that doesn't mean that he doesn't want to be at this spot until his competitive desire is satiated. So anyway, this is the interview with Tim Kawakami. I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste the link, put it into the chat section right now. John Lynch said that he was asked right away in the 49ers facility when the Peters news came out if he had something to say by somebody in the facility. And supposedly he's like, no, I'm not leaving, John. And the quote is there. It was a hard no from John Lynch. I think that Tim even italicized it in the piece. So Lynch, you have to remember that competitive desire is what pushed him into the Hall of Fame as a player and what's made him persevere through some tough times here with the 49ers and building this franchise back up from the ground, right? There were some lean times in 17 and 18 for the 49ers, then back in 2020 for the 49ers. And Amazon came in and offered John Lynch $15 million a year. He's probably making around $5 or $6 million a year for the 49ers. So it was close to a 3x raise opportunity that John Lynch essentially turned down last year. That's how much competing means to him. Now, on Adam Peters, let's go back to him. Adam Peters declined those two GM interview opportunities in Tennessee and with the Arizona Cardinals. And, you have to go back to Adam Peters' history to, I think, understand why he actually might be happy in his current job. So many people always think that, just because GM sounds better than assistant GM, they don't actually put themselves into the human shoes of these people, in this case, these executives. And let me tell you something about Adam Peters. Cupertino native, Monte Vista High School. This article that I wrote about Peters that's up on the screen from 2017, he grew up a 49ers fan, and one of his best childhood memories is being in an elevator with Joe Montana. So put yourself in Adam Peters' shoes, because I know a lot of 49ers fans are watching this right now. Imagine that you as a 49ers fan who lived the dream of any 49ers fan in the 80s growing up, being in an elevator with Joe Montana. Imagine that you have now put in 6 years helping construct what is now the best roster in football with the 49ers. You don't really like the bright lights and the big spotlight too much. You like working behind the scenes, your family, your friends, everybody's in the Bay Area, and you love the Bay because you're from here. There's a pretty good chance that you would love your job, that you would think twice before bolting to Arizona or to be the GM of the Tennessee Titans, especially if, you like the current setup with the 49ers, and that's John Lynch being the face of the operation, right, as GM. But Adam Peters just loves football, and he doesn't have to do as many interviews. He could sit back and he could focus on building the best roster in the NFL for his childhood team. That's where Adam Peters is right now. Now, is there a chance that he becomes the GM in the future when Lynch eventually does leave? Of course. But the fact that Peters decides to stay at his dream job now does not mean that Lynch's departure is in any way imminent. The fact that people connected those two dots doesn't make much sense when you actually look at the facts. And the facts here are that John Lynch actually said that he's not leaving the 49ers. That's in Tim Kawakami's article. And Adam Peters is happy in his current job. And if you look at all the reasons why he might be happy, it is obvious. But don't underestimate Lynch's competitive desire. And then also don't underestimate the fact that both of these guys get along really well. John Lynch, Adam Peters, they both get along really, really well. The 49ers really like their culture in the building. And I talked about it in the locker room yesterday with Bosa and Trent Williams, but the executives too. I mean, the 49ers brain trust works well together, works well with Kyle Shanahan. This is the polar opposite of what we saw between Jim Harbaugh and Trent Baalke about 10 years ago. And this is all really, really relevant data when we are charting what might happen next as far as the construction of the 49ers. I'm copying and pasting this Adam Peters article from 2017. It's a big feature on Peters. I'm putting it into the comment section and the chat section. Be sure to check it out, because I don't think that you will fully understand how Adam Peters works, how he thinks, how he doesn't quite like the spotlight as much until you actually read the feature. I sat down with Peters at the NFL Combine in Indianapolis during my first year covering the 49ers back in 2017. And this is fair right here. Feels to me that Lynch's comments as to why he turned down the Amazon deal and now the Adam Peters, well, it's not an Adam Peters debacle. Sorry, I didn't read that part. All lean toward he's just wanting a Super Bowl. Yeah, I think Lynch really wants a ring. I think there might be a typo there because there's no debacle that happened about this. But yeah, John Lynch is competitive. Do not underestimate John Lynch's competitive drive. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Adam Peters is a family in the Bay Area. People from the Bay Area get it. It's going to take something major to want to permanently leave the Bay Area, right? So again, 49ers ties for Adam Peters, Bay Area native, and that's all big when we consider the thought process here. Of course, I just said don't underestimate Lynch's competitive desire. So if he wins a Super Bowl, maybe that desire will be satiated. But what I also said is that some people, they'll win a Super Bowl and then they just want to win another one. And I don't think John Lynch will know that feeling until if and when the 49ers win a Super Bowl, right? So I mean, you just play this by feel, you move forward. But Adam Peters, I can guarantee you, has no guarantees that John Lynch is going to leave at X time. There is no definite date of John Lynch's departure. Yes, he's not a lifer. He's said that, but that could still be 5 years from now. Adam Peters is not deciding to decline interview opportunities for GM positions elsewhere based on some firm date that John Lynch is leaving. That's a conspiracy theory that just isn't true. That just isn't supported by any data. Can Purdy's arm get stronger to improve throwing distance? I think a little bit. I mean, he just turned 23 years old, so he's still young. He's still approaching that male athletic prime, which is later in your 20s, right? One thing about Tim's article right here with John Lynch, they talked about Brock Purdy, and they talked about how, there's a true sense of, wow, this guy's surprising us with his athleticism. Goes back to the 40-yard dash / 10-yard split discrepancy that I've talked so much about, right? The 10-yard split for Brock Purdy has been off the charts. And then Rand Carthon is the other piece in this puzzle. I see people talking about him. Mike said right here, he's the guy who could be hired by the Titans. Rand Carthon is in Adam Peters' former role, director of player personnel. Peters back in 2017 was the director of player personnel. Around 2020 or 2021, He was promoted to assistant general manager, and John Lynch has stayed GM throughout. Now, the 49ers have a president, that's Al Guido. People talk about potential restructuring within the 49ers organization as far as titles go. And they say, hey, what if they moved Al Guido up to, he would have to be CEO, which is what Jed York is. So then Jed York would have to get some kind of new executive title, because that way you could move John Lynch up to president and then have Adam Peters be GM. I don't think there's any real demand from Peters or for Lynch for that to happen right now. I think the 49ers are letting this play out organically, which they do in other facets of their football operation, as they should. Focus on winning a title. If you do win that Super Bowl championship, yeah, maybe John Lynch wants to go to TV then. Maybe he wants to win a few more. Just let it happen organically, though. And I think as soon as this news came out yesterday about Adam Peters turning down these interviews, people said, oh, this is not happening organically. John Lynch is already deciding to leave, and Adam Peters just waiting for a GM job. And I don't think that's how it works in this building. But Rand Carthon is under Lynch and Peters in that original spot that Peters held. Carthon came up through the scouting department, really impressed the 49ers. He's a really good guy, and he definitely has a bright football future in front of him. I had a chance to talk to him before the Raiders game. And you know what's cool about being an executive, especially, talent executive? On game day, you sit back and you just watch the fruits of your labor. You don't have to stress out the same way that the coaching staff does. All the work that you've done is done, right? I mean, you can't acquire any more players once kickoff begins. I mean, after the game, you say, okay, there's some weaknesses, better go scour the waiver wire if there was something bad. But during those 60 minutes, you can sit there after you've built the franchise, built the team, and you could see what happens. And I think that's cool to just put yourself in these guys' shoes. This is very true. Fans love to speculate wildly on common threads. All right, so I wanted to just get that across to you. The 49ers and John Lynch says that he is not leaving. That's in Tim Kawakami's article. This despite the fact that Adam Peters, pictured here, declined 2 interview requests with Tennessee and Arizona. The truth is that Adam Peters, Bay Area native, as you can read about in this article, shared an elevator with Joe Montana at Candlestick growing up. The truth is that he's just living his dream job. He doesn't like being in the spotlight as much. Adam Peters is having a good time right now. And I don't think that him not leaving has anything to do with a Lynch impending departure. And I think John Lynch verified that with his comments. The main thing is, do not underestimate John Lynch's competitive desire. He wants to win a Super Bowl, and the 49ers might be on their way to that. And if they do win the Super Bowl, we can reevaluate, because John Lynch might reevaluate. But this will all play out organically, so there's no reason to over-obsessively speculate right now. All right, everybody, thanks for watching. It's been another good morning show. I got to head down to Levi Stadium here in a little bit. Updates, saloon font, red paint, Ed Zone. I think they're painting it today because it's drier in the Bay Area. I will have all the footage, all the pictures, all the video for you there. So hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. And then obviously we're going to have a big show tonight. Will the 49ers beat the Seahawks is going to be the title. So be sure to click that little alarm bell on YouTube so you're ready to watch that in prime time later on today. All right, everybody, take care.